Yeah, I think the biggest issue here is that not everybody, like it's a very high stakes decision. The meeting itself is very expensive to actually put on if it's a corporate event. If it's an association event, this happens maybe once a year. Well, you're getting hundreds or thousands of people in one place, and they're sitting there listening for 45 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes, a certain amount of time. And if that keynote speaker does not electrify the vast majority of people who are there, it'll reflect on the entire event. If the speaker um, does an average kind of job, people are going to say the entire conference is kind of average. On the other hand, if people are electrified, if people say, I hadn't thought of it that way, here's news I can use, then the rest of the conference will be spent actually using that knowledge to actually do better. I gave an opening keynote on networking business development, and so that was very important to the people. But what I did is I flipped it around and said, how might we use some of these skills at the conference itself? And as a result of that, we had literally thousands of people using those particular skills for networking, for business development, to actually network with their colleagues, with their peers at this actual conference. So sometimes you can do a double duty, if you understand. And certainly as a speaker, if I understand very well what's important to the meeting planners, meeting organizers, then it means I can, well, first of all, decide whether I think I can do it or not, but secondly, make a difference. I'll also say, and this is a huge miss, most people think that when you get up on stage, that magically things happen, and that's not the case. Um, yes, you spend time debriefing with the meeting planners, the people in charge, often the CEO or executive director, whoever might, hold the knowledge, if you will, of the organization strategy, because you want to make sure that what you say, aligns with it. But then starts the process of research. And probably the most important part of that is interviews with prospective members of the audience. What's important to them? What are the things, for example, that will make the conference a great conference for them? On the topic of, since I speak about business growth and becoming a thought leader or trust or AI or any of those particular types of topics, um, what are the blockers? What are the challenges that they're personally having in that kind of area? And if I'm able to speak to a number of those influencers within the group, if I'm able to speak to a number of different audiences, that makes it real in terms of how do I satisfy both the needs of the meeting organizers, but also satisfying the individual needs of a big chunk of the audience. Sometimes there's a survey that goes out. Sometimes I'll spend hours going through discussion groups and and responding and asking questions and answering questions on my area of expertise. And as a result of that, I feel like I've got a better connection with the audience in terms of what's important to them. And so, yeah, on one hand, it's a very high risk, high stakes decision to make that, if you're going to hire a plumber, that's a vendor doing an important job. But this one over here can make a huge difference to a lot of people for a big chunk of time, right? Until the next conference, right? Or it might set off, a new corporate announcement. And this is the kind of thing that frames it all. And so it's critically important. On the other hand, we want people to get something out of it. And the skill of communicating is something that not everybody spends as much time doing and honing as somebody who's actually like doing it full time. By the way, I should say doing it full time is a misnomer because yes, you've got to get better and better as a communicator. I'm in the Hall of Fame, fine, okay. But it's also the question of, you know, how do you make sure that what you know about is up to date? What have you written about? Or what books have you written? What training do you provide? What other, things are you doing to make sure that you're on the leading edge as a speaker, rather than just talking about something you did like decades ago, right? So you're not just 100% speaking. A big part of it is making sure you're on the leading edge, right? It's not that you just have some expertise or that you're an expert, but perhaps even you're a thought leader. And that's one of the reasons why what you have to say may actually be more relevant to the people in the audience and say, somebody else.